Welcome Homeless Life Stories.
5 days I was sober, and I stayed sober for 9 years. Somebody gave me a pill and told me it was like an ibuprofen, and I didn't know it, and it was a Percocet. And I immediately started throwing up, and he thought it was funny, and I didn't. Don't let anybody shame you for making mistakes. Mistakes are a part of life. Love yourself and love your family.
In Kensington, with a single step you cross from America the whole world praises to the America no one wants to mention. Above, the trains still thunder past, carrying the dreams of thousands of passengers each day. Right beneath their feet, on that very same street, are people who can no longer remember the last time anyone called them by their real name. No screams, no cries, only figures moving with their heads bowed, quietly passing one another like shadows abandoned in the middle of real life. They are not the living dead, nor a scene from a post-apocalyptic film. They are simply American citizens in the middle of a city once called the City of Brotherly Love. And what makes Kensington most frightening is not what you see, but the way an entire nation has grown used to stepping over them without ever looking back. This is Homeless Life Stories. If you believe that truth deserves to be faced head-on, stay with us. A story modern America has tried to bury is waiting for you just ahead.
I did not give you my contract. Okay, well, we're not doctors. I ain't give you my football.
Chapter 1, Kensington, the blank zone of democracy. Kensington is only a few minutes from downtown Philadelphia. A distance short enough to still see the glow of the towers in the city center, but long enough to fall into a neighborhood the system erased from its memory decades ago. In the morning, the train rumbles overhead. Steel wheels grinding on the tracks create that dense, familiar hum, the sound that reminds you a city is still in motion. But right under that elevated line, dozens of people curl up under thin blankets, sleeping in the cold and the smell of garbage. Up there, light, speed, hurried footsteps. Down here, darkness, slowed time, dry eyes that stay open without knowing where to look. Kensington is not a sin zone, as people often call it. It is a blank zone, a space outside political vision, outside investment maps, outside the emotions of the majority. A neighborhood that exists in the richest country in the world, yet feels suspended between two eras, decayed like the Great Depression, chaotic like the post-pandemic years. A place that once sat on Philadelphia's industrial map. Now it's only on the map of abandonment. You can see the contrast immediately. The busy avenue. Lights, storefronts, buses, office workers. The space under the tracks. Makeshift tents, cigarette smoke, bodies slumped over in broad daylight. The distance between these two worlds is only a few steps, but it creates one of the largest moral gaps in modern America. Residents whisper. How can the place that gave birth to the Declaration of Independence also contain a neighborhood no one wants to save? This question isn't meant to blame an individual. It points straight at the system, at the way a wealthy society still allows an entire community to be left behind in its own midst. And before we go any deeper into Kensington, I want you to remember one thing. This is not a story meant to sensationalize. This is the story of why a part of America is slowly fading into the dark. If you want to keep seeing the truth behind America's cities, please subscribe to Homeless Life Stories. It's the only way to keep these forgotten stories from disappearing.
Because a lot of them got their clown hat on looking for somebody, take their frustrating anger out on them. Try not to be that one. If you can, walk away.
Chapter 2, Kensington, where every fall hurts more. In Philadelphia's wealthier neighborhoods, a stumble might mean a few tough weeks. But in Kensington, that same stumble can put someone on the street in just a few days. This is where the line between having a home and losing it is as thin as a sheet of paper, and anyone unlucky enough to slip off the edge falls very far. Rents in Philadelphia have risen far faster than the average income, especially in the post-COVID period. A simple room that once cost $700 is now over $1,200. Incomes from basic jobs, caregiving, kitchen work, delivery have only risen by a few percent, while rent has gone up by tens of percent. Kensington has become the landing point for those who couldn't outrun that wave of rising costs. When they lose their homes, they drift here. And from here, it's very hard to climb back up. The healthcare system makes every misstep hurt even more. A short hospital stay for a minor accident can lead to a bill of several $1,000s. For someone working a low-wage job, that cost is enough to wipe out any savings. A man I met on the corner of Kensington Ave said that just from breaking his leg, he lost 2 months of income, then lost his rented room, then lost all his documents when the landlord threw his belongings out. It only took me 6 weeks to lose everything, he said. 6 weeks. A whole life knocked off its path by a single small incident. When a housing system is cracked, when healthcare is too expensive, when a service-based economy keeps workers pressed against the bottom, then Kensington is not just a bad neighborhood. Kensington is the most honest mirror. Someone in a wealthy area might take 6 months to fall to the sidewalk. Here, it can happen in 6 days. The question is no longer why are they here? The real question is, why can a single small slip make a human being fall this far? Chapter 3, The Working Homeless. In Kensington, there is a group of people that official statistics rarely touch. Those who are homeless and still go to work every day. They don't sleep under the tracks, they don't lay out tarps on the sidewalks. They sleep in old cars, in temporary storage spaces in friends' basements, or take turns lying on the couch in rooms that are already too cramped. Because of that, they don't appear in any official numbers. But they exist. In large numbers. A man named Miguel works at a restaurant in Center City on an evening shift that ends at 11 p.m. His wages are enough to live on, but not enough to rent a $1,400 room just a few blocks away. Every night he drives his old Honda back to Kensington, parks beside a closed storefront, reclines the seat, and tries to sleep. In the morning he goes back downtown, walking past the places where more affluent people order $7 coffees. All day he serves them. All night he sleeps in a cold car. No one knows, and no one asks. A care worker looking after the elderly says she is temporarily staying at a friend's place but doesn't know how long she'll be allowed to remain there. I go to work like everyone else, she says, but when my shift ends, I don't have a place to come home to. That sentence holds a painful truth. Homelessness is not only the image of someone lying under a bridge, it is also the state of having nowhere that feels like you belong. People like them are known by a term few have heard: the invisible homeless, the homeless who cannot be seen. No one sees them sleeping on the street. But they have no keys, no lease, no place they can call home. And that is exactly what makes them the easiest to overlook in every conversation about Kensington. They still go to work, still smile, still try to maintain a normal rhythm of life, but every night They have to improvise a way to get by in a place that was never their choice. Kensington has already been forgotten. But within this forgotten neighborhood, there is a group of people buried even deeper in that forgetting. You can't see them just by passing through. But if you stand still long enough, you'll realize they are a crucial part of the story. People who are doing everything right, studying, working, paying taxes, and still can't afford a roof over their heads. In a city that talks so much about justice, this is the question that has to be asked. If someone is working, trying, and staying disciplined, yet still cannot afford the basic right to sleep in a locked room, is the problem with them or with the system? Chapter 4, Kensington in broad daylight. But daylight only illuminates part of the story. When the sun is up, the neighborhood looks like a tangled map of quiet efforts. Shopkeepers stacking cardboard boxes under their awnings, restaurant owners sweeping syringe away from their doorways to open for business, teachers walking past on their way to classrooms filled with children most of America will never know by name. Kensington by day doesn't show you shocking images. It shows you endurance. A very American kind of endurance, no complaints, no dramatics, just a quiet determination to keep going. And here lies the greatest paradox. Kensington is not an abandoned neighborhood. It is a neighborhood that is very much alive, absorbing the full impact of urban policies that were never designed for the poorest residents. It is precisely this contrast between the normal rhythm of daily life and the deep fractures just beneath the surface that makes Kensington the clearest mirror of America in 2025, a country that is still growing, but not evenly. You stand here in broad daylight, and you can't help but ask, if Kensington is a real community, one that is genuinely trying to live each day, why is it that people only see it through its worst moments? Chapter 5, a service desert in the heart of the city. Kensington sits inside a city of more than 1.8 million residents, with a multi-billion-dollar budget, yet somehow it functions like a blank spot in the public service system. Not enough shelters, not enough beds, not enough mental health professionals, not enough clinics. It's as if the map of Philadelphia suddenly has a white gap in the middle and Kensington is trapped inside it. Support centers are far away, scattered, and disconnected from one another. People experiencing homelessness have to take 3 to 4 different bus routes just to get a hot meal or refill a prescription. Many of those routes don't even run at night, the time they need help the most. A 62-year-old woman I met told me, "It took me 3 hours just to get to the place they told me to go. When I got there, they told me to come back tomorrow." It's not that they're lazy. It's not that they don't want to get out. They are simply trapped inside a system built for people who have a home, a car, time, and a fixed address, all the things they do not have. Shelters are constantly at full capacity.
I'm good for right now.
A facility built for 180 people has 400 lining up every night. Those who arrive early get a bed. Those who arrive late sleep on the sidewalk, right outside the door. In the 6th richest city in America, a bed has become a kind of lottery ticket, a small chance at a night that isn't too cold. A night with a roof. A night where you don't have to stay awake in fear of being robbed, assaulted, or having your shoes stolen. Healthcare is just as fragmented. Doctors can't get to Kensington. Kensington can't get to doctors. And so minor injuries turn into infections, simple coughs turn into pneumonia, and chest pains turn into emergencies. People with PTSD have nowhere to get treatment. Those trying to quit drugs have nowhere to detox. Young mothers have no safe place to care for their children. Those without documents can't enroll in any program at all. And just like that, a neighborhood right in the middle of the city lives as if it were outside the system entirely. An outreach worker once told me it's not that they don't want to help. The system has no way to help. That sentence doesn't accuse anyone personally. It simply exposes a truth. Kensington is not broken because its people are bad. Kensington is broken because it has been left unattended for far too long. Chapter 6: The Children of Kensington. Philadelphia has more than 20,000 homeless children every year, but the real number is always higher because so many of them are never reported. They change schools constantly, change addresses constantly, and quietly disappear from the education system the same way Kensington has disappeared from the city's circle of concern. City data shows that children without stable housing are 5 times more likely to fall behind academically. Rates of depression, anxiety, and behavioral disorders are far above normal. They did not choose these circumstances. They are simply trying to survive in an orbit that adults have unintentionally placed them in. The painful irony is that American law does not abandon these children. The McKinney-Vento Act gives every family in temporary housing, whether in a shelter, a motel, or staying with relatives, the right to keep their children in their original school. The right to school transportation, and the right to free school supplies. But many parents in Kensington don't know this. They endure in silence, unaware that they can claim what the law has already promised them. Kensington doesn't just need housing. It needs stability for its children. It needs a place where homework isn't interrupted by shouting in the street, where breakfast doesn't depend on the opening time of a shelter, where teachers don't have to ask, "Where are you staying this week?" Children don't get to choose, but adults do, and so does society. Chapter 7: The Big Silences of Society. Kensington is not just poor. It is silent. A silence that has lasted for decades, seeping into every brick, every broken streetlight, every block where public lighting exists only as a memory. In other parts of Philadelphia, the city pours millions of dollars into roads, parks, and security cameras. But in Kensington, you only need to walk a few blocks to see an entire infrastructure left behind: broken manhole covers, flickering lights, sunken sidewalks, bus stops with no shelter. Residents here say we pay taxes like everyone else, but what we get back is not like everyone else. The strange thing is, Kensington sits in the middle of a rapidly developing city. Just a few train stops from South Kensington, $3,000 a month apartments rise every quarter. Investment money flows into the surrounding areas, pushing housing prices up, but none of it flows back into Kensington. The neighborhood feels like a blank zone, a gap on the investment map where everything stands still while everywhere else is moving. In many community meetings, residents repeat the same sentence: we don't need luxury. We just need to be seen. Part of the problem comes from incomplete data. Thousands of people living temporarily with friends, couch surfing, or rotating between acquaintances, the invisible homeless, are never counted. When they don't exist in the numbers, they don't exist in the plans. When they don't exist in the plans, they don't receive policies. And so Kensington becomes a place where the presence of human beings is far greater than any report suggests, yet it remains one of the least attended to. Kensington is a test of society's ability to truly see. Can a developing city accept a neighborhood where its residents blend into the background? Can a government call itself community serving while leaving thousands of people to live amid crumbling infrastructure? And can we say a city is progressing well if part of it is being left to fend for itself in the dark? Chapter 8: Homeless Life Stories Perspective. Once you've walked all the way through Kensington, you can no longer see it as just a slum, a drug capital, or the worst place in America. When your feet land on sidewalks split with cracks, when you see a woman combing her friend's hair under the train tracks, when you hear someone just coming out of withdrawal quietly ask for water, you realize something. This is not a story about drugs or poverty, it's a story about the moral distance within society. First, Homeless Life Stories believes this. Poverty is not a crime. Being abandoned is a failure of the system. No one chooses to grow up in Kensington under the shadow of fentanyl. No one chooses to sleep under the tracks because they are lazy. No one chooses to have their past stolen by a medical emergency or a single misstep. When a city is strong at sweeping people away, but weak at supporting them, that gap turns real human beings into side effects of the economy. Second, indifference is more dangerous than poverty. Someone struggling with addiction can be helped by a doctor. Someone unhoused can be helped by a roof. But someone whom society has forgotten, no one sees them. No one asks. That is the spiral that pulls them down the fastest. Kensington is not just an issue of public safety or public health. It is a test of the conscience of an entire city. Third, Kensington is not an exception. It is a warning of what's coming. Every major city in America has its own version of Kensington in a different shape: Seattle, Portland, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Phoenix. A neighborhood where rent has far outpaced income, where mental illness goes untreated, where the poor are pushed into dark corners so they don't ruin the city's image. Kensington is simply the place where this truth shows itself first, most clearly, most painfully. Homeless Life Stories does not tell these stories to create fear. We tell them because if the truth is not faced directly, the darkness will keep swallowing more neighborhoods. A message from within the darkness. Kensington does not need beautiful promises. It needs a direct gaze. It needs recognition that the people living here are not a social problem, but human beings trying to survive each day inside a system that was never built for them. And sometimes change does not begin with a law, it begins with an awakening in each person's heart. If you believe a city is only truly strong when it refuses to leave anyone behind. If you believe the truth should not be buried under the tracks. If you believe a small action can change an entire fate, then please comment. Please share. And please subscribe to Homeless Life Stories, so we have more strength to bring forgotten stories back into the light. So no one in Kensington or anywhere else has to disappear into the dark. Amen.